2024 was a bizarre year, wasn't it? Kinda seemed weirder than years have been normally. From January to December, the world was inundated with stories of the strange, the shocking, and the straight-up ridiculous, and we've compiled a collection of 10 of the oddest to share with you today. Number 10. Raygun shoots blanks at the Olympics. One of the biggest bashes of 2024 was the Summer Olympic Games, when they traveled to Paris as athletes from all around the world came together to compete for fame and glory. And one athlete in particular ended up with more fame than any other, but, well, none of the glory. Rachel Gunn, performing under the name Raygun, won the right to represent Australia at the Olympics, which was hosting breakdancing as a sport for the first time. And her routine wasn't what the judges were looking for, to put it politely. Several of her best moves have been clipped and memed to high heaven. She also received 0 points for her performance. And so she drew the internet's laughter and ire, her offbeat dance moves certainly making us all chuckle. But we're actually going to defend Raygun here. The 37-year-old had been breaking for 17 years before she went to the Olympics. She aimed to add something a little different to proceedings, and rightly said in an interview that many critiquing her online didn't understand the culture and different styles of breakdancing. But factually, Gunn deserved to be there on merit. She won the Oceania qualifier to represent her country, and she had also won a national award for Best Female Breakdancer of the Year in 3 of the previous 4 years. Rumors circulated after the fact that she had somehow stolen a ticket to Paris through her own connections, but this was proved to be false. The fact of the matter was that her routine was a little goofy and not quite as good as the others, but in the already goofy spectacle that is spinning around on your head, who are we to judge? And speaking of judges, they even said her routine was good and creative, but just couldn't live up to what the other competitors had brought to the table. Should somebody more capable have gone instead? Maybe, but the vast majority of people criticizing Raygun wouldn't have the guts to go to the Olympic Games, train for months, and do their best to perform and entertain people for their country. That should be commended, no matter the outcome. And so, whilst it was certainly not what the world expected, we salute you, Raygun. Thanks for making us all smile and laugh. Let's face it, mediocre underwear is ruining your day more than you realize. But what if your underwear could be engineered? Well, enter Sheath Underwear, a game changer that your anatomy has been waiting for. Sheath's revolutionary dual-pouch design is like the luxury car of undergarments, offering unparalleled comfort, breathability, and the support that you didn't know you needed. No more awkward adjustments, no more discomfort, just freedom of performance, whether you're hitting the gym, enduring long meetings, or just surviving the winter chill. And speaking of winter chill, Sheath has you covered with cozy winter base layers and hoodies that'll make you never want to take them off. So look, don't settle for less than ideal support. Go to sheathunderwear.com/sideprojects and use the code sideprojects for 20% off your order. That's sheathunderwear.com/sideprojects with code sideprojects. Your future self will thank you. And now back to today's video. Number 9. Trump gets shot. When it comes to WTF, there was no bigger story of the year. The world was totally shocked back in July when, just outside of Butler, Pennsylvania, a Trump rally was interrupted by the sound of gunshots. In a mere moment, bullets whizzed past the former and future president's head, bloodying his ear as he was tackled to the ground by the Secret Service. What transpired turned out to be a total security failure on behalf of local law enforcement. On the day of the rally itself, local police had spotted what they had deemed to be a suspicious person who would later be identified as shooter Thomas Crooks, roaming around the grounds of the rally as it started. Crooks had also purportedly scouted the area out with a drone beforehand. He then climbed onto the roof of a building outside of the official security perimeter, a vantage point only 140 meters away. Crooks crawled up on the roof with an AR-15, all the while bystanders told police that there was a man with a gun on the roof. It would be 10 minutes later before Crooks was challenged by police as Trump's rally got underway. An officer was able to poke his head up to the roof after being lifted by a colleague to see Crooks in a shooting position, but Crooks turned and aimed the gun at the officer, forcing him to duck. Just after, Crooks would take aim at Trump himself, letting off 3 shots and then a further 5 in quick succession. It would later come to light through analysis of the incident that Trump had barely escaped death, with a bullet striking his ear as Trump turned his head. If he had kept in the same position, it could have been a far worse scene. All the while, everything was captured on camera for the world to see. Counter-snipers stationed behind Trump took Crooks out moments after he started shooting, the whole attempt itself being over in mere seconds. Trump rose to his feet, surrounded by the Secret Service, mouthing the word fight and pumping his fist in the air in defiance, a powerful image that came to define his presidential campaign. The fallout from the event fell on both the Secret Service and the local police for their failures to act before Crooks started shooting. 2 people were injured, 1 died in the crossfire. Its aftermath further stoked the fires of one of the most politically polarizing years on record. 8. paging Hezbollah. 2024 also gave us a 90s throwback when, for a brief time, the biggest news story of the week was about pages. In September, thousands were injured and at least 32 people were killed, including 2 children, when several thousand pages in the pockets of members of the terror group Hezbollah simultaneously exploded across Lebanon. Terror groups often use pages because they're much harder to track than mobile phones, but still allow for wireless communication. The pages in question, thousands of them, had been bought by Hezbollah about 5 months before. It's believed that small amounts of explosives were somehow hidden in the pages themselves and rendered inert until the right moment. At 3:30 p.m. local time, a message from Hezbollah leadership came in, and kaboom. Analysts report that the pager attack had initially been the precursor for a full-on offensive by Israel into Lebanon, matching the one we did later see. But because Hezbollah had caught wind of the plan, the pages were detonated early. Israel itself stayed silent in the wake of the attack, but given their incursion into Lebanon in the following months, it appears obvious who was behind it. Only a few days later, walkie-talkies used by Hezbollah were also detonated, killing even more people. It's a sneaky and clever way to incapacitate a terror cell's communications network while injuring its soldiers in the process, but given the collateral damage faced by innocent people, the attack garnered a lot of controversy. Still, who thought that in 2024, pages would be used to attack terrorists? 7. Musks Mechanical Men. Elon Musk, the guy who went from the people's Iron Man to the world's most insufferable individual in just a few short years. Whatever your opinions on Musk as a human being, his companies do make some pretty cool stuff. Rockets, self-driving cars, even humanoid robots. Well, kinda. Because when Musk revealed the Optimus project to the world back in 2024, a lot of people were highly impressed. Here was the future coming right to us, human-like robots powered by AI that can make conversations, serve drinks to guests, play rock, paper, scissors, and even dance. But it was later revealed that whilst the robots themselves were as real as you or me, they weren't driven by AI like Musk had advertised. Attendants at the We Robot event in California, where Optimus was revealed, soon discovered that the robots were being remotely controlled by real people, and this became clear when guests started conversing with them. When one guest inquired about whether they were speaking to a machine, the robot said, "Today I am assisted by a human. I'm not yet fully autonomous." The robots themselves are actually highly impressive in terms of their sophistication and their range of movement, but it seems a curious thing for Musk to lie about when they were presented as fully functioning AI companions, and when such a fib could so easily be debunked at the event itself. Optimus may have come a long way by the time they're a year old with the current pace of AI progression, but the odd way in which they were presented, plus the weirdness of the whole thing, definitely means it deserves a spot on this list. 6. Haitians are eating your pets, or are they? It was the rumor of the summer that sent the US political world into a tailspin and helped to cement 2024 as one of the weirdest we've ever seen in politics. Amongst fears around mass immigration stoked up by election fever, political commentators and presidential candidates from the US started to accuse Haitian immigrants of killing and eating the pets of US citizens, with a story centered around the city of Springfield, Ohio. But these claims were later proven to be false. A news report, as well as police body cam footage, was circulated online when a woman was arrested in August, and once social media caught wind of it, the lie that it was a Haitian immigrant at fault took off. In fact, the incident, which happened in Canton, Ohio, over 170 miles away, was perpetrated by a US citizen. When asked to comment on the rumors, Canton police told the BBC, "We have not dealt with any complaints of Haitian immigrants at all." The Springfield City Commission were also asked to comment, and they told the media that there have been no credible reports or specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community. The story gripped headlines for weeks and served as a warning not to believe everything you read, as you never know when people may be trying to push fake news or to advance a political agenda. In fact, that might be what 2024 ends up being remembered for. 5. The worst Wonka Wonderland. Glasgow was hit with one of the strangest and funniest stories to come out of the UK, which truly encapsulated what a WTF year 2024 was. In spring, parents were signing themselves up and buying tickets for Willy's Chocolate Experience, which promised to be the place where chocolate dreams become a reality. AI had been used to create all the promotional materials for the event, selling it as a magical place where kids can gawk in wonder at their own little version of the Charlie's Chocolate Factory. And it's fair to say that what customers received and what they were promised was slightly different. Where kids were promised a wonderland of sweets and chocolatey delights, what they got was a depressing-looking warehouse with some haphazard decorations and a bouncy castle. Where they were promised a jelly bean crafting room and a chocolate river, they got some chemistry equipment on a desk and a very disgruntled-looking Oompa Loompa handing out 3 jelly beans each to children alongside a tiny cup of lemonade. The character actors were given scripts clearly written by AI, according to the one who played the Wonka stand-in, and the experience even included one out-of-place character called The Unknown, who I don't remember Gene Wilder talking to in the original, but I might have missed that part. For a place that was supposed to be so sweet, it left a bitter taste, with angry parents looking for refunds before the mob caused the police to be called, who shut down the event completely. The whole thing was orchestrated by a man named Billy Cool under a company named House of Illuminati, which according to its website specializes in crafting extraordinary experiences, and that is certainly one word to describe this Wonka knockoff. Cole's other work, including 17 books he has written, also have all the hallmarks of the hastily thrown together AI slop that we've all come to recognize in 2024. It stood as a cautionary tale to not be duped by what you see online and was a beautiful catastrophe where everything that could go wrong did. Number 4, the Diddy allegations. It has not been a good year for Sean Diddy Combs. His career had already been on the ropes since 2023, owing to various allegations brought against him. But it was in mid-2024 when the horror behind Diddy's life was fully revealed to the world. The full details of Diddy's sex parties, known as freak-offs, were made public, including questions over consent, hard drugs, and over 1,000 bottles of baby oil that would last for days at a time. Combs has since been charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution, as well as being accused by prosecutors of kidnapping, forced labor, bribery, and other crimes, all done in lockstep with his crew of loyal associates who facilitated it all. There are now dozens of lawsuits from his victims waiting to come forward, including over 100 who plan to sue Combs for sexual assault and even worse crimes. November saw the most outlandish accusations yet, with claims that Combs allegedly dangled a woman from a 17th-story balcony in 2016 whilst threatening to kill her. It remains to be seen how deep the rabbit hole goes with Diddy, considering the number of stars who frequented his parties, and we do not know how many are potential perpetrators themselves or even victims. Combs and his lawyers all deny the allegations levied against him, and the former music star has been denied bail for a 3rd time. This wasn't a WTF in terms of comedy or strangeness. This one's just pretty sick. Number 3, United Healthcare CEO assassinated. I'm sure that one thing that nobody had on their 2024 bingo card was the assassination of a CEO in the middle of New York City in broad daylight. But in early December, that is exactly what we got, and the ensuing story took over the entire Western world. The story began back in late November when Luigi Mangione, a seemingly normal guy from a well-to-do family, arrived in New York on a Greyhound bus. Staying in a hostel while using a fake ID, he was waiting for the annual investor conference of the United Health Group, a large health insurance provider. On the 4th of December, Mangione waited outside the Hilton where the conference was being held, and when CEO Brian Thompson was about to enter the building at 6:44 a.m., Mangione gunned him down with a handgun before fleeing the scene. He lost the police by riding a bike through Central Park. 3 days later, police in Altoona, Pennsylvania, hundreds of miles away, were led to a local McDonald's where an employee had spotted a man matching Mangione's description. He was taken into custody where it was reported that he still had fake IDs, a gun, and cash on him. Prosecutors charged him shortly afterwards with first-degree murder, with some going as far as to call it terrorism. Definitive reasonings behind Mangione's motivations are yet to be released publicly, but his social media profiles and clues at the scene give some indication of what caused him to kill Thompson in cold blood. Mangione is believed to have suffered a back injury during his life, with one social media photo showing an X-ray of a spine with hardware in it. It's reported that Mangione may have suffered intense back pain as a result, since he had bought several books relating to that problem. That's not all he read, as according to a book review website, someone with the same name even gave the Unabomber's manifesto 4 stars. Shell casings found at the scene had the words deny, delay, and depose written on them, and the now well-documented 3Ds are a tactic used by US health insurance companies to resist paying out claims to their customers. Mangione's own words called health insurance companies parasites that deserve his ill will in a handwritten document that police have since discovered. Given all that, it seems that Mangione may have been radicalized by his pain and chose to take it out on a symbol of the system that he believed wronged him, that being CEO Brian Thompson. The killing has sparked much debate in the US about private health insurance and the systems currently in place that bankrupt US citizens every year with expensive medical bills. A fringe few have even come out in support for Mangione's actions. Mr. Mangione has since pled not guilty to killing Brian Thompson, and his trial is set to conclude in 2025. Number 2, McDonald Trump. The political world is certainly a place for weird stories, and 2024 being a US election year was certainly no exception. US presidential candidates Donald Trump and Kamala Harris battled it out on a myriad of issues, from the cost of eggs to the war in Ukraine. When it came to discussing each candidate's credentials, Harris informed the public that she had worked a summer job at McDonald's in the early 80s, and so she was more entitled to the presidency than a billionaire who she alleged had never worked a hard day in his life. And it might have worked, but some people had doubts over Harris's story, especially after a photo of Harris in her uniform later was found to be doctored. With no real record or proof of her paycheck, some accused Harris of lying, and that is when Trump's genius political machine went into overdrive. If Harris was going to lie about working at McDonald's, then 78-year-old Trump would don the uniform under the golden arches for real. It didn't matter that it was more of a theatrical performance than a true shift, that the customers were all pre-screened and the franchise was reportedly closed for normal business whilst this little stunt went ahead. The optics were simply incredible. One candidate reportedly lying about working at McDonald's while the other went and actually did it, serving fries at the drive-thru to the American people he would soon serve in office. And he looked genuinely over the moon doing it.
I like this job. I think I might come back and do it again.
Thank you.
And it worked. Come November, the election was his. I'm sure at the start of the year, Trump didn't bill himself to both work in McDonald's and almost get assassinated, but if you told him he'd win the presidency for it, I don't think he'd mind. It might be the most American that American politics has ever been, but you can't deny that if nothing else, it was straight up bizarre. Number 1. The Great Drone Panic. When in December of 2024, flying drones began to appear around certain areas of the US, both over major cities and over critical infrastructure like military bases and airports, appearing as orbs in the sky. And nobody knew where they had come from or what they were doing there. More often than not, these drones appeared to be larger than the ones commercially available, and many flew higher than those on the common market as well, which drew suspicion around the potential of a foreign power being the ultimate culprit, like China or Iran using them for some kind of reconnaissance. Conspiracy theories arose immediately as the panic set in over the US, with people blaming everything from an alien invasion to the US government itself. Similarly, the angst amongst US citizens led some to start shooting at anything they could see in the sky, including commercial planes with passengers inside. Drones were temporarily banned over parts of the US as a result, but even now the wider public are still none the wiser as to where these drones came from, what they were doing, and why nobody still seems to have found out anything about them, which has only fueled conspiracy theories to fill the gaps. The FBI have announced that the drones don't pose a national security threat, so many have been left concerned and confused. And so it remains a mystery that we may never get the full answer to, but it does nicely encapsulate the idea that when it comes to the peculiar, 2025 is going to have to work overtime to match 2024. Maybe at McDonald's. Thank you for watching.